of the year. I'm Jim Kuligowski, committee chair.
Vanessa Jones, vice chair.
Chuck Martin, secretary.
Lewis, member.
I can't tell who's going. Okay, go ahead, Tom.
Oh, okay, just member.
Anne Marie Orleski, member.
John Hurling, member.
And did Chuck go? Chuck went, okay. Agenda item number 3, the annual reorganization of the Trails Advisory Committee. And I had given notice that I'd be stepping down as chair. And so if I get to nominate, I would nominate Vanessa Jones as the next chair of the committee.
I will second that motion or nomination.
Great. Okay, so then the next thing, oh my gosh, I almost stopped. So
Well, let's ask if there's any other nominations.
nominations, yep.
Are there any other nominations for chair of the Trails Committee? I'll take that as a no. So all those in, I guess we can have a vote, right?
Yep.
Okay.
I had to accept it first, don't I?
Oh, yeah.
Accept
Yeah,
the
you
nomination.
Why not?
Good point.
You screened me last month, so you.
That's true.
I warned you last month.
But I do accept the nomination.
Yay!
Well, the nomination.
All right. All those in favor of having Vanessa Jones as the chair of the Franklin Township Trails Committee for 2022, say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, nomination passes. Congratulations, Vanessa. You can now take charge of the meeting.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Vanessa. Congratulations.
Thanks.
So just how many ayes and how many, there were no nays, but I'd just like to make sure we know how many
Everybody.
committee members we have.
6.
We have
Yep, 6.
6. Okay. Aye, 6. 0. Okay.
Okay. So Tara, at this point, should I go ahead and do the sunshine piece or say
Yeah,
that for
so-
next time?
I think we can do it next time because we're just like starting, we already started, but
Yeah.
we gave Vanessa the statement that is read. It's going to be read at the Environmental Commission. It's read at the council. It's basically reading the Sunshine Act into the record. So we'll start that next month.
Okay, great. Do we have any nominations for vice chair?
I'd like to nominate Anne Marie Orleski.
I'd like to second it.
Yeah.
I'll accept the nomination.
All right, good.
Excellent.
Any other nominations? Okay, with no other nominations, let's take a vote. What are the right words?
All those in favor?
Yeah, all in
Who is it?
favor.
Who is in
Aye.
favor of Anne Marie as the vice chair of the Trails Advisory Committee?
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay, so that it is Chuck, Jim, John, Tom, Anne Marie. So we have all in favor.
Yep. Congratulations, Anne Marie.
Thank you, Anne Marie.
Thank you. God bless you.
And now, I would like to accept now nominations for the secretary of the Trails Advisory Committee.
Chuck Martin.
I
Second.
second.
I
Oh,
will accept. I accept.
Okay, any other nominations? Okay, hearing none. Who is in favor of appointing Chuck Martin as the secretary for the Trails Advisory Committee?
Aye.
aye.
Okay, Anne Marie, Chuck, Jim, John, and Tom. Unanimous. Okay, Moving on, I believe that's everything for this section. Is that right, Tara?
That's correct. Yep.
So we can move on. Need a motion for the approval of the December 2021 minutes.
I move to approve.
I second.
Um, any comments, questions? Okay,
Questions?
hearing none. All in favor of approving the December 2021 minutes?
Aye.
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 Okay, that's unanimous as well. Okay, moving on. It's time for a public comment. Tara, does it make sense for us to make a motion to open public comment at this time?
Yes, we do have one person in public.
Okay, can someone make a motion to open for public comment?
I move we open for public comment.
I'll
I
second.
second.
Okay.
Tom opened, Anne Marie seconded, and then John followed right after her. Okay, thank you. So public comment time, does anybody would like to address the committee?
Okay, so we have Anna Gerwell. I hope I'm saying that correctly.
Yes, you are. Hi.
How are you?
Fine, how are you? I'm sorry, I cannot get my picture up for some reason.
Oh, it's because if you're a member of the public, I believe there's no video. So it's
Oh, good. That's
Yep.
great. Yeah.
You're good. So you're on with the committee.
Okay. 1 second, please.
Chuck, do you need her spelling? And I think we have need her address as well, correct?
We should get the address. The name I have up on the screen is ANNA, last name GERWEL.
Okay, I believe, Anna, your address is 18 Wyckoff Place.
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Anna.
Okay, so I would like to say Happy New Year, first of all, to all of you, and to thank to everyone on the Trails Committee for keeping the trails so beautiful in Franklin Township. And when I first moved here with my husband, we couldn't believe how many trails we have. And Vanessa and Chuck took me on some of the walks and hikes, and I really appreciated that. And my comment is in regards to possibly leading hikes 2 to 3 times a week, like just hour-long hikes, so not very long on Sundays, at the Butler natural area because of the hunting season. I thought of Sundays when there's no hunting, and I thought of making it like an afternoon hike at 2 p.m. I know we have limited parking, so I thought it would be just for now for the adults, for about 6 to 7 cars or 15 people if they come together in cars. And I thought it would be nice for the public to get to know the local trails. In particular, the one at the Butler natural area maybe is a little less known than the other ones, for example, 6 Mile Run, etc. So I thought it would be nice to organize something for the local people so that they get to know our outdoors and learn about nature and about hiking in 4 seasons. I'm a hiker and I hike in all 4 seasons. So I would like to help with leading these hikes in 4 seasons. And it would be great for exercise, experiencing forest bathing and hiking and walking, social outings during pandemic. And also it's a free exercise, which is great, which we have out here. It would also help with understanding of land preservation, and if this place would ever be wanting to be developed by anyone, that we would have more voices, talking about preservation of the land. And also it would lead to a developing of a healthy habit and highlight the work of the Township's Trail Committee and the Parks and Recreation Committee. I know it's a lot what I said, but basically I would like to lead hikes. I have a lot of experience. I led over 15 hikes with hunted on hiking club. I can provide references, and I participated in over 50 hikes in the last couple of years here in New Jersey. So, and
Great.
I also
so much.
wanted to say that I
Thanks,
talked to
Anna.
Chuck about this, and he was very helpful in putting this together, this idea together. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Anna, yeah, so thank you very much for sharing your offer to lead to very concisely to lead trails at the Butler Road trail, which I know is near your home, so you're familiar with that area and really promoting trail use. And you're just looking for some feedback from us as a Trails Committee. I don't know, Tara, if this is something maybe we should add to under new business for us to discuss further, as far as how we want to go about it, if we want to have approve this as almost like adopt a trail kind of a situation. If this is something that we'll have a Trails Advisory Committee member join her on, would this be with Parks and Rec, without Parks and Rec? So I feel like it's going to require a little bit more of a discussion on our part.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna have to just do a little bit of some research because I know, so if one of the trails members is really leading it, I think that's okay in terms of, leading a group on our property. If it's gonna be another person, I think we would have to work with Parks and Rec and go through, there's like a certain way to do that. But I'd have to get that information. So yeah, we can definitely add it as new business for next time. And in the meantime, get all of the details.
As given Anna's interest in the trails and hikes, and she with all of her experience, I would want to know whether she would like to become a member of the Trails Committee. I think we have openings, in fact, do we not? And she is a resident that knows our trails and is a very active participant. She has actually gone out with us and helped maintain the trails. In fact, I think she would be an excellent addition to our committee and provide valuable knowledge to our efforts.
I was thinking the exact same thing because it sounds like she has such an interest. And since we do have an opening or two, I think, I'm not sure. Tara, I think we just have one opening.
One, yep.
Okay. If Anna's interested, she should, if you can tell her how to put an application in, and I have no problems with her joining the committee.
I would be very interested. Thank you very much for asking me.
Okay.
That's terrific.
So what I can do, Anna, I can in the chat, I can put, or if you want it in the chat, put your email address to me. I can then send you the link it's a citizen volunteer form you fill out. Once you fill out and submit it, email me and tell me I've submitted the form. This way I can follow up on it. And then once we, know the form's been in, the Trails Committee can make the official recommendation and we can forward that on to council. So if you in the chat can give me your email address, or, then I can send it right over to you.
Okay.
Great.
And in the interim, I don't know, Tara, if we can add it to new business for tonight too, but just to talk about, I'd be happy to co-lead a hike with Anna.
Wonderful.
So that way, because I'm sure she's anxious to kind of get something on the calendar.
Yeah. Yeah, if
so-
you're gonna go with her to start off, I think, yes, we can do that because you're an existing member, so it's okay for, you to kind of lead a group. So yeah, we can definitely talk about it in new business further if you want.
All right, let's do that.
Vanessa, thank you very much, and I would love that. And also, Chuck and I and Diana are going to, on Thursday, to do a little bit of a cleaning up of the trail as well, if the weather will be all right. So I just want to let you know that, and we've been there last week, and I'm also going to lead a little group there of my own on Monday as well. But the weather doesn't look good, so we'll see.
Okay, the weather
Wonderful.
always helps. All right, thank you so much. Tara, is there anybody else for public comment?
I don't think so, but let me just double check. No, that's it.
And is Anna still there? Anna, you still there?
Anna, are you still on? Blame
Yes,
me.
I am. Yes.
She
Oh,
is.
okay. Just very quickly to describe the process is what Tara was saying is if you submit the application, we look it over and then we make the recommendation to the town council. They vote on it, then you become a member. So that's kind of like the process. So it may just take a while just because, they only have a meeting, twice a month, or they may act on it once every other month. So if you don't hear anything immediately, just continue to log into these meetings and participate or just listen. And then, hopefully it comes around in a month or so or two and you're on the committee.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you very much, James. I really appreciate it. I'm very excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's great. Great.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
So should I go now? Because I think is it over the public section of the meeting, or it is, right?
We're about to wrap that part up. Yeah.
Okay.
But you can stay on the call, but you're just going to be muted.
Okay. Well, should
Yeah,
I
you
stay
can
on?
stay in the meeting.
Okay, so I'll stay, just be muted. And Vanessa, should I get in touch with you about the dates, or will you get in touch with me? I don't know.
Yeah, we're going when we get to the new business, we'll talk more about it. And then if you're still here, you can listen in. If not, I'll follow up with you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay, considering there's nobody else from the public, who would like to make a motion to close public comment?
I'll motion that.
I second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
I
Okay, the next part of our meeting is the Pathways and Trails Plan. We have a 45-minute work session. Anne Marie, would you mind timing us, keeping us on track?
Got it.
Thanks. And just to let you guys know, I told Tara before the meeting, I'm going to have to leave the meeting at some point. I have to go, unfortunately, my dad took my dad and mom to the ER. My dad's in the hospital right now. I have to bring my mom home. So I'm able to squeeze this in. Sorry.
My gosh.
Anne Marie, I'm going to put you on the spot later this meeting in our first meeting.
I-
But
I'm
Jim's
ready.
here. But Jim's here, so we're going to be good.
Here's my backup.
Vanessa, is it
Awesome.
easier if we go through the new business? Because we do have some business. Do you want to do the business first while you're here so you can it's up to you.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, so we can
Good idea.
reorganize the agenda.
If that's okay, only because there is one thing I definitely, Chuck and I want to talk to everyone about before the open space meeting.
Okay.
All right.
So let's go ahead and move on to new business.
Perfect. Okay, so I guess we can so under new business, we have a section here for 2021 accomplishments and 2022 goals. I think most years we do try and establish some goals for the upcoming year. So I guess, we thought now would be a good time. Does anyone have any immediate projects or things that they would like us to see working on in the upcoming year as a priority?
remarking of the trails with the paint.
Yes, I actually just followed up on that the other day to see where we're at. So I will keep you posted because we've submitted the paint colors. It was put in the budget. I believe the paint was definitely ordered, so it should be here. It's just a matter of actually doing the painting. So I did reach out to Carl the other day and let him know that, I would be willing to go out with someone, if someone wanted to come out and at least try one trail just to see how it goes. And, so I'm waiting to hear back. But yes, that is still on the priority list.
Hey, Tara, do you have handy like our goals from last year?
Let me see. I don't know that we made goals last year, but let me look and see. While we're open
So,
to that could help. Yes, hang on.
Jim had said remarking of the trails. Any other thoughts about goals?
I would definitely like to see those improvements made to Negri. I mean, we talked about a lot of things, but at minimum, the trail going from the parking lot down to the bird blind and replacing that bird blind has to happen. It's falling apart. At a minimum. I mean, we can do more, but at a minimum.
Okay, improvements to Negri. trail to the bird blind and rebuilding the bird blind, repairing it.
Yeah, so,
what-
Anne Marie, just so you know, so again, when I was having my email course, so normally Carl and I have our monthly meeting and it got postponed this month. Um, uh, so we're trying to get that rescheduled, but I did give him a list of things I wanted to talk about, and one of them was the improvements at Negri. So I did let him know about the added stone that needs to be put down, the bird blind. I need to have a much more in-depth conversation with him, which I absolutely will. But I did put all of those improvements in there and, like making sure that those are on the list.
That's great. I mean, we talked about putting in, some other things, but I mean, at a minimum, I think we just need to get that done. And I don't know where else would it, I mean, we talked, where does it fit into our goals? I mean, we talked about burning, we talked about reseeding, we talked about, all these other things. I mean, should they be part of our goals for 2022?
I think so. The herbicide application, which is like the third phase of our stewardship, because we've done the mowing, we have the prescribed burn lined up. The herbicide application, we did speak to Open Space Advisory Committee at the last meeting, and we did present the resolution that we put together from this committee to OSAC, basically urging them to follow the Audubon plan and implement the herbicide application. There's a lot of different information going on about how much herbicide could potentially cost, who's able to apply it at our DPW staff. Would we need to contract out for it? So Open Space asked that Chuck and I look into getting like actual specific quotes for those tasks and the chemicals and everything that needs to be done. So we're working on that. And as soon as we have that, we can get a number to OSAC so that they can hopefully approve, the expenditure of it.
Yes, it's not only herbicide applications, but also reseeding.
And reseeding, right.
Areas were part of the plan. And actually, I think we could talk about it a little bit more in item B, in fact, but I spent the entire afternoon trying to put together a spreadsheet of seed costs and various things. I'm just still learning, and it's going to be a process just getting this information together.
Yeah.
For consideration, the open space. So, but we're working on it.
We're working on it. Yeah. And it's going to take a little bit of time to get it exactly right, which I understand, they want to know what is the cost. So we're putting that together and we'll, of course, keep you posted. So we have those that are the.
I just have one other thing. Can we finish in 2022 our pathways and trails plan?
I hope so.
Let's get it done, folks. Let's get it done.
All right, so we have remarking of trails, memory improvements, burning, reseeding, pathways and trails plan, other goal suggestions.
Here's a slam dunk. Have a full committee.
Oh,
There you go. That's a good one.
committee. Okay. And I've been like really intentional about, one of my goals is also to help diversify our committee, and unfortunately, have not been successful across all spectrums. But moving forward, going to continue efforts in that way.
Yeah.
So
I like that. Okay, I think those are
keep
good.
working on
I think
that.
those are really good goals.
Okay. And I know on here we also have accomplishments. So let's take a minute now and also talk about accomplishments from this past year.
Okay, so one of the major accomplishments was implementing the prescribed burn at the John Clyde Memorial Native Grassland Preserve, which was done in January and April. That was done, as a free service for us, which was effective and saved a lot of money, done in a very professional way. So we actually, as everyone knows, we're looking to do it on both sites now. So that's a big accomplishment. We've made a lot of headway on the pathways and trails plan. We're still like getting stuck in certain spots, but we have made a lot of headway. The mapping is almost complete. I spoke with AT today in our GIS department, and he's nearing completion of that first round of maps. So we're almost there with that. He's also going to be working on updating the existing trails map, so he's underway with that. That's ongoing. What else have we,
Partnered with the girl-
so we
we
got
partnered-
John here as our liaison from OSAC. We did that in 2019, and then we have now Chuck over on OSAC as well. So that was, I think, an accomplishment, having the, I think our communication is much more improved between the two committees. So I think that's great.
We also partnered with the Girl Scouts on that joint project. I think more of that, I mean, one is tremendous, but I think more of that would be, maybe you should think about being a goal for 2022.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
Yeah,
they did a
we
lot of
we were
cleanup
able to
work.
do several cleanups with the Girl Scouts. I think it's great from a
That
community.
was great.
So,
Community partnerships, like including Girl Scouts, like community partnerships.
Yep. That was really good. They did a lot of work, so that was excellent. We also really kind of put together that committee to really get into the details of the grasslands management plan. So we have that going. What else?
Well, we got mowing done finally in Negri
Mowing.
and Griggstown.
Yeah,
So John Clyde
Yeah.
Preserve. So, I mean, that was huge.
mowing complete. So yeah, I think, oh, we joined the mayor's
Oh, yeah, the
Monarch.
butterfly.
butterfly, not the mayor's monarch pledge, but the mayor's monarch butterfly pledge. We joined that. That was great. Yeah,
And we
that's a good
also,
amount.
I feel like, and we also came back and did some more hikes. We led some
Mhm.
more hikes, which we
Oh,
hadn't
yeah.
done the previous year. We had our Firefly hike again. We had a couple of others, and we partnered with Parks and Rec
oh,
Yep.
yeah, terrific.
and had some of those Parks and Rec joint hikes, which I think were successful.
Oh yeah,
Sarah,
very.
one thing we haven't talked about is able to, through goals and through accomplishments, is about adding trails. Which it's,
Yep.
if Mark were here, he'd be reminding us.
Yep.
So is there anything, I'm trying to think of is there anything that we've done this past year regarding looking into adding more trails? Or is there anything that we want to make as a goal for next year regarding adding new trails?
We
I think
have
we
to-
have the Simonson Brook Trail. I
Right.
think that's official, is it not?
That's true. Yeah, Chuck basically really put together that map, and then our GIS department is finalizing the mapping, and it's kind of already in existence. So that once it's mapped is really an added trail already. So that's excellent. And then we also have the property that we acquired in end of 2020 or beginning of 2021. It's we call it the County Route 518 property. It used to be known as the Farm Credit East property, right off of 27. It's about 124 acres. We've talked about it before. There's only hunting going on it now, and we are looking into discussing trails with this committee. However, we need to address the access first. There's a very limited access point there. So once we can figure out a better access point to that property, then we can talk about how to get some trails in there, and that'll be a good spot to put trails in.
Okay, so let's add that to one of our goals then too.
Mhm.
Okay. So we have the burns, the prescribed burns at John Clyde, a lot of headway on the pathways and trails plan. And I also feel like the way Jim, the way you kind of structured us to have the 45 minutes, for that focus time, I think that's really helped us. So I think that's something I would definitely want to keep doing. To continue that growth, having people from OSAC, Girl Scout partnerships, community partnerships, grassland management plan, mowing, and the Simonson Brook Trail added. Okay, great. Next thing on new business, we have the reestablishment of the demonstration garden plots at Negri Nepote.
So I'll just introduce it. Chuck really is the one who has the real information on it, but just to give you a quick background, through Sustainable Jersey, Franklin Township is one of the only municipalities that's certified as the silver level, which is the highest level of complete certification. You can get gold stars in certain areas, but right now silver is the highest. And attaining that certification, it's not just doing, stormwater management or green infrastructure. It also, there's sections in it that involve diversity and equity. There's innovation projects, there's agriculture, like using like green cleaning supplies and purchasing. So it really addresses the full gamut of sustainability. And Franklin's been great in achieving that high level of certification. So because of that, we are eligible for grants. And Chuck and I had talked about submitting, there's a $2,000 grant available from Sustainable Jersey. And, we had talked about potentially submitting that grant application to reestablish the demonstration plots at Negri, Nepote that were once there. So when you come in from the main parking lot, if you look to your right, there used to be some plots there of these demonstration gardens of native plants, and they've since been completely overgrown and they need to be completely reestablished. So in doing my research to put together the information for Sustainable Jersey, I basically learned that in the past, you could have one grant from Sustainable Jersey that was open as long as it was for a different amount than the one you're applying for. So we currently have a $20,000 grant that we got from Sustainable Jersey that's about to close in May, but it's technically still open, so we cannot apply for another grant. That's like kind of the new rule right now, understandably so. So anyway, in putting together that information, though, Chuck and I really have talked about, this is something we should still pursue because it's not tens of thousands of dollars. I'm sure we can figure out a way to fund this appropriately. And we've already done a lot of research on it. So I guess, Chuck, if you want to kind of talk about what you learned and what our plan is.
Oh, sure. I guess, first of all, I have to say we're still learning.
Yeah.
The proposal, I put together some action items. I think Tara circulated them to the members of the committee.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see if I have them up so I can read them to you. That's
I
not
can put
it.
them on the screen too if you want, Chuck.
Yeah, would you please? Maybe that's the best way to do it.
Yeah, let me just get them. You can go ahead and I'll get them up in just 1 second.
So the idea that we were thinking about when we were thinking we would be eligible for the $2,000 grant, which was due in mid-February, and which we can not apply for, but we can apply for grants later in the year. Is that?
Yeah, once this one is closed, so the next cycle will be able, because they do the cycle at least once a year, sometimes twice a year. So the next cycle we'll definitely be able to apply for something.
Okay. But this initially, this small sum was basically proposing to restore the this 1.3 acre pollinator area. Yeah, Tara has just posted a satellite photo that I put together that shows almost all of the plot. It's the plot around the parking lot. And what we proposed to do was to actually restore this to a wildflower grass mix, but also to restore the specimen plots that were put in back in 2010, I believe, by Melba Batten and I think John Luce. They actually went out and got a grant to establish these specimen plots. And these plots were actually put together by Franklin High School students who grew the specimen plants that would be planted throughout this plot, this 1.3 acres, in the high school greenhouse, I believe, and then they planted and established these plots. Unfortunately, these plots are completely grown over, mostly with knapweed. If you go out, you might be able to find some of these plots. You could probably see them as like the orange dots on the mix. I'm not sure those are the exact locations, and actually there's some missing locations that apparently were just either mowed over by public work or just completely grown over by red cedar and whatever in that green area. So the idea would be to reseed, to restore and reseed the entire 1.3 acres, and also establish these specimen plots with the different species of flowers and grasses that would be in those areas, with interpretive signs describing the individual flowers in there. And furthermore, we would want to put in a narrow ADA compliant trail so that people in wheelchairs could actually go around the specimen plots, read the signs, and look at the grasslands in that area. By putting in a narrow trail, which apparently we can do with the same the crushed rock that was used in the trail leading to the blind, that would be ADA compliant. It would actually accomplish several things. First of all, it would provide access for people with disabilities, but also it would keep the public works from mowing in that area. As you can see on the satellite photo, they just keep mowing past through this area, and actually they keep wiping out more and more of the forbs and the wildflowers and grass mixtures that are there. So that was I think the elements of the basic plan. I think the costly elements. I also included in this the idea of preparing plans for a one-story deck that could be accessed by a ramp as well. What you see at Tara scrolling up, these are the only information I have about these plots. I actually got, these are Melba Batten's sketches that she gave me maybe a year and a half or 2 years ago. And both sketches are different, but the essence of them are there, and the listing of species are there. I think we would need to really design, we would need to design a better trail path through there. We would have to make sure that it is ADA accessible. So you need to be concerned about changes in elevation well, mainly changes in elevation have to be taken in consideration. You only want I think it's a 5% slope to your trail. But this is something I think that would be, useful that we could, put together on a small grant as a small grant funding, like actually was done before. And it will also serve, I think, as another action item on the mayor's monitoring plan.
It would.
As well.
It would,
Which
absolutely.
would be another big plus to doing that. So the top of the screen that Tara is displaying is actually the flower list, the list of plants that were actually planted to begin with, and are most of the plants that were in these specimen plots. I've been trying to get cost estimates about these different types of seedings, and actually I connected with probably one of the top nurseries called Prairie Moon Nursery, and I actually was able to get a spreadsheet of their plant costs, their seed costs, and so on. One of the things I'm thinking about is whether or not we might want to, in restoring these specimen plots, if rather than just treating the invasives that are there, trying to eliminating the invasives that are there and reseeding, it might be better if we actually got trays of the different specimens, so you get plant plugs that are already rooted.
Mm-hmm.
And this nursery will put them together. They will actually seed the trays to your specifications, And then you can they will ship them in the spring, and you can simply go out and just plant these plant plugs in the plots, which should give a little bit of a competitive edge to the invasives that are already there.
Right. I
The
like
other
that
thing,
idea.
the other thing that's occurred to me is that these plots in the area really are going to have to be maintained. I mean, that's what happened.
That's key. That's right.
To begin with, and it looks like they're. Not sure we could ever get Public Works to do any weeding, and I'm not sure if we did get them to do weeding, how effective that would be. I think this is going to really require trying to recruit volunteers to actually assist maintaining, perhaps through master gardener clubs, perhaps, I don't know, maybe even creating a Friends of Negri, Nepote, or Friends of the Franklin Grasslands volunteer organization that we can use to and manage, because we need somehow to, you know, if we're going to have volunteer organizations, we got to have somebody that says, you know, goes out and says, hey, come meet at this particular time. We got to weed this stuff and keep it clean. So I'm not exactly sure exactly how to proceed with this, but it seems to me like this is one of the things we have to do to really start moving forward and restoring these areas. So.
Okay. So Tara, is this really looking, are you looking really for the committee to kind of approve an application for the Sustainable Jersey grant in order to do this project? Is that what you're looking for from the committee?
Well,
right now?
I would have liked to use the Sustainable Jersey grant, but we're not eligible until May. So my thought is, and I would need the numbers from Chuck first. I mean, Chuck, you don't think this is going to be like a tens of thousands of dollars thing, right?
Well, I got the prices in the spreadsheet, but I haven't added them up. So
That's okay. So
I
my
don't know.
thought was, I think what we should do and see how it goes, we can put together a request that we give to the Open Space Advisory Committee, as long as we give them, you know, a sketch. It doesn't have to be a perfectly engineered sketch, but if we give them a good sketch, what the work Chuck has already done to identify the types of seeds and plants, and then a cost estimate. I think if it's like I said, you know, I think this is something maybe we could get, you know, funding through our open space funds to do. And if that's a way that you want to go, we can try it. And if it gets denied or we don't get enough money from it or whatever, then maybe we can look at another grant. But I mean, if we want to plant them in the spring, we kind of gotta get something going now so we can, you know, order them and like get some maintenance options in place. And
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's a big undertaking because, as Chuck was saying, those demonstration plots are so overgrown. So we're talking about a full rehabilitation of all those plots. And I don't even know how many there are. I'd have to go through and count them all. And then if we were thinking about even building a trail using crushed rock, that's a huge expense as well. And figuring out where that would go with the whole thing. So I think there's a lot of moving pieces with this. I don't know what happened. Maybe Chuck, you know the answer, but I'm also concerned, did the deer eat the demonstration gardens?
No, actually, what's interesting is almost all these plants are listed as deer resistant.
okay.
Because I have some of them in my yard now, and I can tell you that they are not all deer resistant.
Well, one thing I would say just to keep in mind as far as the expense goes, my understanding, at least from doing other trail work with DPW, is, you know, we have the material of red stone, the red crushed stone. We also can order it. It's something we use for all of our trails. So I think that expense isn't something we need to, you know, necessarily calculate into like money that we need from, that we're asking from open space. It's, hey, we're going to need to work with our trails, with our DPW to get the trail implemented and that. I think it's really the cost of the plants and anything else that kind of goes into that.
Yeah. Well, we will have to, in terms of trading the entire area, we will have to, you know, follow the Audubon protocol, I'm pretty sure, and we will have to actually spray with herbicides in the fall, next fall, and in the spring to do that. I guess the question is whether or not we could go ahead and reestablish these specimen plots before then, or I don't know. Do we wait another year? Start with the restoration of the entire area in the fall with the auxin mimic spraying, and then wait to the spring to do the reseeding after we treat for invasives again, and at that time establish the specimen plots. Of course, the trail around the specimen plots we could put in tomorrow. I mean, if we had a plan.
I mean, I think for this kind of project, and maybe I'm being a little super positive when it comes to it. I don't know what the correct word is, but if we were able to get the funding approved, so say we take it to Open Space Advisory Committee and they love it because it really is a great educational opportunity. Can we go ahead with the establishment of the plots, and then, we can, not that we'll get to the trail when we can, but can we at least get those plots going, and then we can work with DPW's schedule to get the trail around it correctly put in, and they have the sign machine we can make, like all of that. Can we at least work on the plots now, or is that going to be, do you think that's a huge undertaking?
We need to research it. We just don't, like I say, we're still learning. It might be something that we might not want to even bring up to open space until February, just
right
to give us some time to,
yeah, there's no big rush,
more detailed plan. Yeah, I would just like, among other things, to get a sense from the committee about how they value this. Because I would like to go to the open space saying, this has the full support of the committee. What do you folks think?
Well, the demonstration garden is a great idea. The key thing, like you said, is the maintenance, because all gardens need maintenance. And if you put in specimen plants, it's going to need to be cleaned and weeded in the summer and fall almost on a weekly basis. So that's a big job. So we almost need to do this in tandem with getting, like you said, a Friends of Negri, or, it almost has to work together, because you can put in beautiful plants, but if no one's taking care of them, it'll be a weed city within a week.
Right. We do have, so Chuck had mentioned the master gardeners, which that's a great resource because they have to get a certain amount of hours. And I know my mother-in-law, for example, is a master gardener, and she goes to a bunch of places to get her hours in. So there's one volunteer. No,
there you go. Yay.
But not only that, for example, I know we have a youth, what's it called? Like a youth council in Franklin, and they need service hours. Maybe we could work with them if they're interested in getting hours. Maybe, the Girl Scout troop that Chuck knows, maybe, but I understand what you're saying. In the summer, that was gonna be my question. How often do you think it has to be weeded? Because that's weekly is a lot.
It's weekly, at least weekly with these plants. I mean, it's a lot of, and we might want to think also how we want to construct a garden, because a lot of the plants we have here, they bloom for a certain period of time, then they're done. Then there is nothing to see. So maybe we want to think about putting a couple of different specimens in,
Right.
And we can make it a more visually appealing for a longer season.
Yeah. Fortunately, that's this spreadsheet that I've been putting together this afternoon. In fact, it's got a lot of detail in it.
Okay.
It's got blooming times of plants. It's got plant growth conditions, soil types, and so on. This source is pretty good in terms of providing a lot of detail, and I'm sure there are other nurseries as well, but there may be, in fact, some local nurseries that might be just as good. But I can actually send around this spreadsheet that I put together, and I hope I'd be great if we could all think about it.
Yeah.
I wanted
much
to mention,
potential there.
I wanted to mention that open space is going to want to know what's happened with the $10,000 grant. That is there money left from that, Tara?
Oh, so that grant was it was a $20,000 grant, but it was specifically to develop a green infrastructure strategic plan, which we just finished. The little
Okay.
bit of money that's left is actually to put in a rain garden, but it has to meet very specific, like the plants we have to use are the plants that are like sucking up water and things like that. So we couldn't use it for this. But that grant is going to close in May. So if this gets delayed, for example, we could put in an application for Sustainable Jersey the next round, and we probably would get the $2,000 for that because it's a good project, and it's exactly the kind of thing that they like to fund because it has the educational component, the volunteer component, reestablishing something. So I think it would work.
Good. Good.
I was going to also bring up rain gardens. I was wondering but based on the locations where these are going to be, could some of them be rain gardens?
Yeah, we could actually, some of these plants, I can cross-reference them, like Black-Eyed Susan, for example, that is a plant that's eligible for a rain garden. I'm just
But they also,
looking.
but Tara, like I know we got a couple of rain gardens here at my school, and
Mhm.
I know we did them through grants that we'd gotten. We know with Johnson and Rutgers. I think it was partnership with Rutgers, and I know Toby Horton from Rutgers. He helped.
Oh,
I know he helped design the rain gardens, and essentially for the grants, you have to have like all native plants and things like that. But then like once that's over, like you're allowed to add. You can add your own stuff.
Oh,
So
yeah,
it's kind of like.
absolutely.
So I feel
Yeah.
like we could probably be in compliance, get things established through some of that, and then maybe add on as time goes on.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea, and we can use that for sure. We just make sure we get at least some of the plants that are suitable for a rain garden in there, and then the rest, you're right, yeah, can be added. So I think
And
that
I
could
know
work
like
too.
Toby like was really generous and did like a sketch for us of a garden bed here. And like had it like where it's like it had like stepping stones going through the middle so you could plant on either side, and
Oh,
it was
nice.
just so I don't know. I think what what you have I think is great, and I think it would be to continue working on it and getting some other input. And Chuck, I also liked your idea of checking like local nurseries as well. That makes a lot of sense, to support our town. I know
Sure.
Farmers often has some good stuff, and many others.
Yeah, I think it's all worth looking into. So, and I mean, Chuck, we're at a point we're still putting stuff together anyway. So if it doesn't go to open space this month, then it'll be next month. It's not really the only time frame we're up against is that we want to plant in if we want to plant this year,
Yeah, I think that's the big issue. So great. Well, thanks.
Okay. Um, so then the last part we have for a new business before we move on to what we were going to add on from Anna is the maintenance call.
Oh, and my maintenance call got postponed. So
Okay, well,
Carl has been extremely busy lately and totally understandable. So our maintenance call got postponed, but I did email him a list of items that I wanted to address. So he has them and we'll discuss it more at the next meeting. But like, for example, like the adding of the stone to the parking lots at the properties as well as the stone in the trails, he has that. That's something he can work on. The paint blazes I asked him about, that's something he can work on. I had a drainage issue at another one of our properties, so he'll be working on that in the interim.
okay, great. Just how would you guys, I feel like for myself, like maybe for these items, if we gave ourselves time limits, does that make sense? If we kind of give ourselves a time limit for these sections, and then if we need to go over, we can. Would you guys be comfortable doing that?
I think
So-
so, yeah.
Sure.
So I'm just thinking like, okay, so for this next section where we talk about Anna's proposal, maybe we give ourselves 10 minutes
Mm-hmm.
and then that will give us enough time to kind of go on to the other things that we need to get to. Okay, so I know Anna in open in public comment had mentioned wanting to lead some hikes on the Butler Trail. So I just wanted to, let's open that up for discussion. I know it did come up, the idea of her joining the Trails Committee as well, so she'll apply, but we know that that takes time.
Mm-hmm.
So what are your guys' thoughts about that? And if doing that, would we want a trails person to accompany her or other citizens who want to lead hikes? And Tara, you brought up some information about at this point we might need to have in order for us to like sponsor it and like advertise it, we would really need to have a trails person, it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, my understanding, at least with trails, is when when you guys lead a trail, that's you're a member of the trails committee, you're an appointed member, so that's good. We did work with the meteorology club to host one of their events at John Clyde Memorial, but in order to do that through rec, Bo Burtis told me that they really had to like kind of go through rec to set everything up so they're covered by insurance, and then like have like a liability waiver signed by the person doing it. So it's a lot easier if like until she's on the committee, one of us can do it. But if she wants to do it, we can go through those steps.
Okay. Are you
Uh,
guys,
Yeah, actually, so what if we were, I know Anna wants to actually get started on these hikes. She's already scheduled one for Monday. But if we post this as a joint trail hike with Parks and Rec, can we go through Parks and Rec for that?
We can, yeah. We just,
And
need
and
to
that way,
obviously give-
like we've done recently.
yeah, we can do it that way. We just need to give them enough notice to, set up the registration on site and all that.
so I had mentioned like to Chuck, like the first couple hikes we did with Parks and Rec, they just kind of advertised for us, showed up for the launch, and they didn't have a lot of involvement. But this last one, there was a lot of involvement where there was a lot of back and forth, and it was just much more intensive than previously. So we had to like know that going into it.
Mhm.
Like for myself, like hadn't anticipated that. So it was a lot more communication, a lot more meeting. So I guess something for us to be mindful of if if it's gonna what it's gonna require
Mhm.
going into it. I think the advertising is fantastic and doing partnerships is fantastic too. But I don't know that we have to just make sure that whoever the volunteer is up for some of that work too.
Yeah, the last one, you're right. They did a lot more, activities and things like that. And if we want, we can just say, listen, this one coming up, we're just really looking to do just the hike.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah, actually, I did several joint hikes with Parks and Rec, and we did not have this level of activity. On the other hand, we didn't do this fantastic storybook thing that you did,
Mhm.
which I can see, they really wanted to prepare for this and do all sorts of stuff for the kids, which I can imagine took quite a bit of time to do. But I guess I've taken them on, done joint hikes with them 2 or 3 times. And it was just simply, these were family hikes. And Gloria and her friend Kathy just showed up. And we walked together. I don't believe they
Okay.
I guess the firefly hike, they put together goodie bags and that sort of thing. but then there were others where it was just they came along and hiked with us. So
So it sounds like so for Anna or other members of the community who would want to do hikes, they could either do it in partnership with somebody from Trails or from Parks and Rec.
yeah,
We all comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Information we have.
That's
So
good.
where does that leave Anna for Monday?
Yeah, I don't know, I didn't,
Anna,
she didn't mention Monday. I mean, we certainly could not approve something. She could, if that's what she's doing on her own, I think that's fine, but we're not advertising it.
No,
Uh,
no, yeah,
I
I
think
just
Anna
seen
is,
it.
Anna, if you're there, maybe you can tell us, but as I understand, I think she was scheduling this through one of her hiking clubs.
Yeah. So
Yes.
basically, Anne Marie, to answer your question, Anne Marie, this isn't a trail sponsored thing. Whatever people do on their own, they do on their own, but it's not going to be endorsed by us or advertised by us.
I was just
She's
wondering
asking-
what the protocol was on that.
Yeah. So moving forward, if we're gonna like advertise it, and sponsor it with our logo on it, that kind of a thing, then it has to go through us.
But at this point, any member of the public within another group can take a group out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a public trail. It's a,
Yeah, I'm just asking for my own clarification.
yeah,
That's
sure.
good.
I think so. Okay, so we're at our 6-minute mark here, so I think we're pretty good. So that we can let Anna know that as long as she has one of us to go with her, that's fine, but we do need to have some lead time to advertise if we are going to advertise, and to post this information. So we should find out from her. If anybody here is anybody interested in doing a hike with Anna on the Butler Trail.
I would be happy to do it when we can, as we can.
I mean, I can do on the weekend, but I'm not going to be available during the week.
Sure.
Okay. Okay, if anybody else gets the urge, let us know and we'll let Anna know. Okay.
So right now, just so I know what I'm to do, so we're gonna wait a little bit, I'm assuming, to organize a group, like while all of Omicron is on right now, right? Or
Say
I
that
would think
again?
so.
we're not gonna organize a group right now, like in the upcoming few weeks because of COVID, I'm assuming, right?
Well, so maybe the soonest we would do it would be February. Is that kind of what you're thinking?
I mean, and I mean, it's up to you guys. I'm just putting it out there because I'm like getting a little nervous and I usually don't get too nervous, especially when I'm outside. But it's like on this phone call alone, I've received like 2 texts of people that are now like, so maybe we should just wait until like February. Yeah, at least February.
Yeah,
Just to be
so
on the
I think
safe
that's
side.
fair to say February. And certainly right now, I would go with the mask to whereas like, look,
Right.
for instance, this summer, we were like, you don't have to have masks. But I
Right.
certainly would stick with the mask with the Omicron, kind of raging like it is right now.
Okay, so we have until February, so I can start talking with Bo at Recreation at least to kind of like get it on the radar because at least we get his thoughts on it and let him know that we're interested in doing it and using the registration and all that.
Okay, great. And Anna, if you're there, you could still schedule hikes through your hiking club, in the interim if you feel like
Yes.
you'd like to do that.
Yes, thank you very much. I'll be doing that regularly. Thank you.
Anna, thank you for being an advocate for our trails. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for all that you do. I hear you do a lot of things behind the scenes that nobody knows about. Thanks.
Okay, so I believe that is everything for new business. Tara, would you like us to hit old business before we go to the pathways and trails?
We may as well, just to get that part done. It's just a quick, actually, we really talked about most of it anyway. The only thing I just wanted to add is that the prescribed burn is, we're still waiting for a good weather day to do it. And as soon as I'm told what that is, I'll let you all know when it's going to be. And then this way, if you want to go out or you want to hear anything about it, I'll let you know, but everything's been prepped. So it's just a matter of waiting for the day to actually do the burn. And then I already talked to you about the herbicide and how we're kind of, talking to open space and getting, getting that information to them that they need. Oh, the other thing is the equipment for the mowing. You know, they really do need a very specific mower in order to mow according to the Audubon plan and correctly mow the property. So we have already, Franklin has the correct tractor to pull this mower, and the request for, you know, the amount that mower would be, that piece of equipment is going to be proposed for the upcoming budget. So we, as long as that gets passed, we should be able to buy the correct mower that we need so that DPW can do their mowing with the equipment that they need. So that's another maintenance thing that we've worked on.
Okay.
And that's really the update for that.
Okay. Tara, I noticed that we don't have like trail report updates on here.
Oh, I forgot again. I'm
So
sorry. Yeah.
just real, I mean, I don't have any updates from my trail, but real quick, does anybody else have a quick 1 minute update about their trail?
Have an update.
Okay.
Okay.
Nobody else with updates. Let's go ahead and move on to the Pathways and Trails Plan for a 45-minute session.
Okay. All righty. So you got your timer going, Anne Marie?
You know, wait, you got it.
So the last meeting we left off where we leave off frequently, which is the vision and goals. So do you want to wrap that up, or do you want to try and move on to another section? Because that's, so in terms of the mapping is being completed. I showed you guys at the last meeting the format. So AT is using that format to make the rest of the maps in the 2 different sizes. So I'll share with you once that's all complete. So the appendix and the mapping, that's kind of, we're at like a final draft stage there. Of course, it's probably gonna need some more edits, but that is basically done. So now what's left is like some narrative of the plan. So we got vision and goals, which we talked about last month for the entire 45 minutes. And I think we left it off that we were going to talk about it again at this meeting.
But you're proposing, Tara, that maybe we skip that and go to another section? Is that what you're proposing?
Well, I'm not proposing that. I would like to wrap it up personally, but I don't have, it's really, what do you guys want? So I know, like, there was a lot of discussion about what should be included and what's not. So if you all want to wrap up that section tonight and just say we're doing this or then maybe we should just wrap that up. Let me just like stop myself, and maybe we should just wrap it up.
Do it.
I feel like I'm stuttering for some reason. I'm sorry. I don't know what the heck just came over me. Let me share again.
This is the plan.
Could I make a motion to adopt the vision and goals that you came up with the last meeting, and then we could discuss and vote on it and maybe possibly amend it? Would that be
Oh, I see what you're saying.
an orderly way to proceed?
I think that could work.
Do you have to make a motion though for that, or can we just talk about it?
Well, if you're going to vote on it, if you're going to vote and finalize it, it seems to me like there needs to be a motion. But I mean, that's,
Okay.
forgive me, I've forgotten a lot of Robert's rules, but
So you'd like to make a motion to adopt the draft mission and vision statements? Is that what you're saying?
I would like to make a motion to draft adopt the draft mission statements, vision and goal statements.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay, let's open for discussion.
All right. So sharing on the screen here is the vision and goals. So this is taken from the original Pathways and Trails plan. Some of it I had entered in a while back just from looking at other Pathways and Trails plans, as well as just looking at some planning trends and feedback from, our work as the committee. So we've been going through it. I think if I recall, everyone's okay with the vision statement. It hasn't really changed that much. I did put in just what the duties of the committee are, just so that it's, there. And then the vision statement, I have a note here, was approve. Okay, so we approved the vision statement on November 10th, 2021. So Vision statement looks like it's good. The thing that we are still in flux about is the goals and what goals should be in and what goals should not be in. So
Enlarge that, or is it just my screen?
I think I can enlarge it. Let me see here. Zoom. Oh yeah, there we go. Zoom, let's do 100 in because 200 might not be good, right? Is that any better?
That's much better. Thank you.
Yeah, that's good.
So when I was drafting these a while back, just kind of like trying to like brainstorm, I kind of like started here. So this won't be in the plan. This is like my notes to myself. And then as I started drafting, we came down to these. So basically these are the goals, and the little bullet points under are the objectives. How are we going to achieve those goals? So goal number 1, I have to just move this because I can't. Okay. Proactively seek logical opportunities for trail expansion and connection, which makes sense. And then we have, this is what we're going to do to achieve it. So we're going to review the trail network. We're going to include the TAC and discussions for major traffic pattern changes. I think everyone was good with this one from last time, if I remember correctly. Because it kind of is,
Looks good.
So goals 2, 3, 4, and 5, I guess, is where the question is, do we want to include these as goals? Is it something that should be in the Pathways and Trails plan? And that's kind of where we left off, goal number 2. So let's just look at it. Create connections that increase tourism opportunities. And that's basically things like planning trails to connect historic sites, existing open spaces and parks, schools, and community facilities. Design events and activities specifically for trails that promote use, which we do often. Coordinate with local events to use trails as a means of transportation or as an added value. And that objective comes out of the county's hike, bike, and what do they call it? Hike, bike, and walk, or walk, bike, and hike plan. Take a hike plan. Yeah. So, we're not limited to the 3 objectives. We could put more, we could put less. We can get rid of goal number 2 altogether. This was just kind of an idea, but when we're talking about pathways and trails, this might be something to kind of keep as a goal. So do you want to take it goal by goal, Vanessa? Does that make sense? Or
So
Or you
Tara,
want-
I'm just trying to remember because I feel like we discussed this last time, right? Like,
yeah.
I'm just trying to remember what the, kind of like what the where the rub was, just to kind of like
Right.
Yeah, where's the rub?
Yeah, the whole committee couldn't come to an agreement because the discussion was the following. Should a goal like this be part of our pathways plan, or should our pathways plan really just be about, getting property to make into pathways and trails, how we're going to design them and how we're going to maintain them? Is this something that's appropriate to have in the plan? And furthermore, is this something that's a duty of our committee, which is where we had another big discussion? Is this plan really like a work plan for our committee, or is this like a document that's about pathways and trails? There was we couldn't get past that.
Okay. So now thank you for jogging my memory. So I feel like we talked about these goals. We all like these goals, but it was just kind of Mark's frame of reference of like, is this really our intention or not?
Right.
So I feel like that's where we need to talk about really is, are we comfortable with having goals that are beyond the acquiring land, which is like the true mission of this committee? And I remember specifically Mark saying, this is where I'm at, but if the rest of the committee is feeling otherwise, he was fine with that too. And so my recollection is that most of us were okay with this. I know I personally I was okay with it, but also wanted to do what Mark said as well and make sure that we are sticking to the core mission. And that's when we were talking about accomplishments and goals, wanted to make sure that stays on board with it and doesn't get replaced by.
Yep.
Right, supplement versus supplant. So let's supplement that with these and not supplant it.
100%. Yeah.
So
I
maybe we
agree
can
with you,
open
yeah.
the conversation up to the committee members. Are you guys okay with that? Like supplementing our core, mission and vision of the committee with these goals, or are you uncomfortable with that?
I've thought about this. I was part of that discussion. I've been part of this for years. It feels like it just never ends. Yeah, goal 1, 2, 3, 4. I can't see the rest of them. We had a lot of discussion about them, that this is a plan. It's a plan that's done every 10 years. And it's important to put all the different aspects that we could be involved with. And I agree, acquisition of trails and learning what's going on in the community as a potential new trail is certainly key to what we should be doing. And, did we stray a little bit from that? I don't know. But I really think that we need to include these goals, and we've certainly talked about them at great length. I'm on a board with putting in these goals. I think it gives us and future people a framework to look at the role of trails. And if you read them, they kind of they flow. There's some overlapping of them, but I think it all moves us in a positive direction.
Well, I think that was well put. I agree with Anne Marie. I feel that these are worth including in the plan.
Jim, John?
Is it the
I-
word tourism that was what Mark was talking about?
I think it was really like just having goals like 2, 3, 4, and 5, not just the tourism, but like, the education and being vigilant stewards. Like, I think not his thoughts were, is that really part of our mission? Is it something we should be putting down in a document? Yeah. So I don't think it was tourism in particular, but
I seem to recall, some time ago, I tried to dig up what the charge when the council established this committee. They
Our mission and vision
Charge.
statement.
they had charge of which was somewhat vague, but it seems to me like it really encompassed all of these topics. It wasn't just about acquiring land and designing trails. That it really had. I may be wrong. I haven't looked at that probably for over a year, but I didn't get the sense that the original charge to the committee from the council was restricted to acquiring land and designing trails. I thought somehow I thought recreation and education were a part of it, of that charge.
I don't think they were, Chuck, but that doesn't mean that we can't grow and evolve.
right.
Right. And so I feel like, I think that's okay. It's okay if that wasn't the original charge, right? But 10 years later, it's okay for us to revisit this.
Well,
Mhm.
under that
So
too. I mean,
who's okay? Like, so continuing, like, who's okay with, if that was the original charge, expanding it and adopting these goals? Jim, what are your thoughts?
Well, I was going to say, I agree with Anne Marie that these things should be included, because it's kind of like trail usage. It's not just trails to have a trail, it's a trail to, interact with the community. And I think this is a good blueprint for, say, someone that would be new coming onto the committee, like Anna. She's very interested, and it's like, okay, well, she knows Butler Trail, but he goes, okay, but here's all these things that we can do. And with the addition of Chuck to the committee, a lot of people that have, more bio knowledge than the average person, it makes sense to have these goals that are more interactive, not just a trail to have a trail. Does that make sense?
Yep. Thank you, Jim.
Good thing I wasn't muted.
Yeah, I think the education piece of it is very important, and connecting it to schools and community activities and other, I think that's good. So I would support this goal 2 as it is.
Okay, Tom?
No, I agree. I've had my own thoughts on how this process has been going, but I think this balances out and gives a great deal of perspective to the rest of the trail plan, to be honest with you.
Okay. Yeah, and I
Madam
feel
Chair,
like
may I call the question?
just I feel like I just want to add one last thing is I kind of think that this, if we do this work well, it's going to really promote the use of our trails, which is going to then encourage our community to want to continue investing money in open space, which will then, continue the need for more trails.
Right.
So I see it kind of having a nice ebb and flow. So Chuck, yes, what were you gonna say?
I was just going to, given the nature of the discussion, I was just going to call for a vote, call the question.
Yeah, who is in favor of adopting these goals for the Pathways and Trails Plan? All in favor, say aye.
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 Anybody abstain or no's? Okay, so it's unanimous. All in favor, great.
Awesome. Good job. That's great. Okay, so that's one. Okay, that was good. So now that section is done. So we got the vision statement and goals. The appendix 2 is in the final draft, which that's really like the action plan that we've been going through. So one other section that I had drafted a while back, but let me show you it. Maybe we can, this is pretty easy. Assets and obstacles. Let me see here. Okay. Did I finish this? Let me just give me 1 second. I'm looking. Okay, so I'm gonna have to update this, it looks like, but I'll show you. So where'd everybody go? Okay, there you are. Let me share. So another part of the Pathways and Trails Plan documents that I had researched and looked at that were kind of similar and I thought were good planning documents. They had the vision and goals chapter. They had a chapter on trail design, which is really just taken from the National Park Service with, ADA accessibility and things like that. That's an easy chapter. They had an obstacles and assets chapter, and then they had the action plan chapter and the mapping. So a lot of that is already done. I had gone back. This will have to be updated because this was like done a while back, but for assets and obstacles, basically, and I can share this with everyone so you can read it better, but it's a little history of Franklin Township and why like trails are important and why they were used and how they're used now. A little bit of information on geology, which is important when we're talking about designing and creating new trails and where. I did this back when it was like the 2016 American Community Survey was the latest. So I'm going to have to update this, but basically a little bit about demographics in Franklin Township. And then we go listing into assets. And basically it's a narrative of our trail areas, gives an example, how large are they? Where are they situated? What can you do there? And then these charts I just took directly from each trail map, and we could either keep them in or we could take the narrative out and just make them a chart, or we could keep both in, whatever works. And then went through and did that for all of our trail systems. Some of them aren't here yet. And then again, went through and talked about the county, the state, and what else did I put in here? So that kind of goes over the assets. It's a lot to read. So I'll just kind of go through what it is so you kind of know what I'm talking about here. Again, these are like little notes to myself now, but considerations, these are things here we should be thinking about when we're talking about assets and obstacles, which is public support, designing multifunctional trails, which is basically ADA compliant trails and, inclusive for people of all ages and abilities. How do we do funding and maintenance for these trails, adapting to changes in land patterns, hunting, natural area maintenance, the misuse of trails, and the permitting causing limitations at stream crossing. So back then it was like, these are things we need to think about, and they might still be relevant. They might be not relevant anymore. Or maybe we need to add more. These are some of the policies and programs that I had put in as maybe potentially, that we had talked about in the past about adding to our program. Complete Streets, actually, that's already been adopted. That's done, adopted and implemented by Franklin and Somerset County. So we could, and then recommendations and, input needed from you guys. So I'd only gotten this far on recommendations, which you can see add review for potential trails to the land development checklist. So a land development checklist is submitted with all site plans and variance requests to the planning board and the zoning boards respectively. So if we could get a mark on that checklist, it basically would require that the review planner checks off that, yes, they've looked to see if there is opportunities for trail connections on this property. And then that would kind of forward it to the Trails Committee for review. So that was one idea I had for kind of getting that review back in. The review of all open space and farmland purchases for potential on-site trails, and design trails through perspective of transportation in addition to recreation. And then I figured we would talk more. But this is basically another section of it that's in a draft and just kind of needs to be edited and massaged by all of us. So that's basically that. So I don't know if you guys want me to send this around to you to talk more about, or if you have some off the top of your head recommendations right now that you want me to add in.
Sarah, just a quick follow-up. Under recommendations, input needed from TAC, add review for potential trails to land development checklist. What was that process? What part when in that process would we have access to it?
So
Someone has to decide that we would get access to that? I mean, how does that work again, please?
Well, so my thought is this. So for example, with the Environmental Commission has authority and responsibility to review site plans and variance requests for environmental impact. So any of those site plans automatically get forwarded from the planning board or the zoning board to the Environmental Commission. So I was thinking maybe we could try and replicate that process a little bit by, so say a developer submits a site plan application to the Franklin Township Planning Board. They go all through the staff planner from Franklin goes through the checklist to make sure all the requirements are met. My thought was maybe we could get something on that checklist that basically says, is this property within a half mile of an existing trail? Or is there a connection to a trail within a half mile of this property? And this way it kind of requires that review planner to look at that. It requires that then because it's on the checklist. They have to either check it yes, no, or not applicable. So if it was checked yes, then that would mean that the planner would forward a copy of that application to me, and then I would get it to you guys, which is what I do for the Environmental Commission. So I thought maybe that process could be replicated.
I like that.
Yeah, I like it too.
Yeah, I think it would
Makes
work. I
perfect
mean, there's
sense.
no legal requirement for that, but I think it would be definitely, I don't think anyone would be opposed to it.
Would it
I
be-
guess, go ahead. Go ahead, Emery.
Go ahead. Would it be limited to half a mile of an existing trail?
And that's just the number I came up with, a half mile, in my head. A lot of planners, we use the half mile as our metric, but we don't have to use a half mile. It could definitely be a different number for sure.
Where
It's
does it
hard
say
to-
half mile?
Oh, I didn't put that in there. That was just I just kind of threw that out there while I was talking. Because for example,
Right.
when we, in planning, the half mile is kind of our standard metric for walkability and bikeability. So, but you're right, with trails, a half mile probably is not appropriate. So we'd want to think of a better metric.
Uh,
I don't, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
How does this fit with the scenario that has gone on? Apparently, well, part of the goals of the open space is to acquire land, either owned by the township or acquire development rights to the land to preserve farmland. I guess the development rights part of it is trying to preserve farmland.
Right.
Okay. And then there are other initiatives to acquire land as open space land, which is conserved public land that we would have our trails on and so on.
Right.
But so would those considerations come up to the land development checklist, or is this something that is something that, you know, a developer comes and wants to acquire land, and under those circumstances, the checklist would be gone through and at that point referred to the Trails Committee?
So
Is there another vehicle in place that's being used that potential trail land would not be brought up to the Trails Committee? I guess that's.
Yeah, so the checklist would only be used when an application for development is submitted to the planning board or the zoning board. If a property though is under consideration for land preservation, that would come, you know, if it's the landowner is willing to set aside land for trails or sell land for trails or whatever, we can bring that forward. If it's a property that is suitable, or I guess like within like some type of connecting area of trails, we can definitely bring that forward as well. So yes, so open space and trails, we can communicate better in that perspective, and that's why it's in there, like recommendations, you know, we would just make sure that when we look at properties, we're looking for those trail opportunities too. Before the preservation is done, that's the key.
Yeah. Okay.
I guess the best example is over by Colonial Park. You know how that narrow road, but if we had that strip of land where you could make a trail so people in that development could walk rather than having to go on that narrow road. So in that case, it would have been nice to know that, you know, if this is preserved land, well, here, this is what we want to put in. So,
Right.
and
Right.
Tara,
Perfect.
I think, you know, this is there should be a mechanism, and if that's the way to do it, you know, your topic one, then that's a great way to do it. We do that at our company, where if we're putting a new equipment into service, if we're using new chemicals, a whole bunch of disciplines have to check off: environmental,
Right.
safety and health, maintenance, you know, there's electrical capabilities, engineering, process guys, development, and manufacturing. So a whole bunch of disciplines look at something, so everyone's on the same board, and then it's approved. So everyone has to approve it before we go forward.
Yeah, I think it's a good ask that we can make, and I think it doesn't really put any more onus on the township planning department, because all they do is look at it, and if it looks like it's in any way suitable, they would just check it and forward that plan to us to submit comment, and we would just have to make sure we get our comments to them within, you know, whatever the designated time frame they gave us.
I think that's great.
Yeah, so I think that would work for sure.
Is that the Mettler's Road property? Is that what I was talking about?
Yeah, yep.
I'm kind of rusty on this, but yeah.
Yeah, no, you're
It'd be
right.
nice to have, you know, a walking space there rather than the road.
Yep.
And Tara, if you could share this, then that's something maybe we review on our time, and then we're able to discuss it next meeting.
Yeah.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, that would be great.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'll share this. I might just have to update a few things in there, but I'll share it with you. And then if we go through this and we talk about it at the next meeting and we get it to a point where we basically approve the draft of it, then we basically have the bulk of the sections are basically done. It's now just a matter of putting them in one document and reviewing all of it together for consistency and making sure, you know, it reflects exactly what we want and things like that.
Oh, that's very encouraging.
Yes.
We're going to accomplish our goals for the year, like before we know
That's
it.
right.
Hot dog.
That would be great.
That would be really cool. Yeah.
Take the rest of the year off.
Yeah.
Deserve it.
All right. So I'll make sure I update that and share it. And I don't have anything else really to talk about for that.
Wow. We have 17 minutes left of our planned discussion.
We got a lot done. We basically did two big things, which is
Yeah.
great.
Very impressed.
Yes.
It's your leadership, Vanessa.
I'm gonna take it, even though I know it's not. Yeah, it was Jim and Tara made the agenda.
Oh gosh. right.
Okay, so Tara, so as far as the pathways and trails, we've accomplished our goals for this evening. Is there anything else that you had in mind for us to work on tonight or discuss?
I don't think so. No, I think so far so good.
Okay. Anybody else? Are we all, anything else that you wanted to add, or are we, somebody want to make a motion to close the meeting?
I move that we close the meeting.
Second,
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy
Happy
New
New
Year.
Year.
Safe, everyone.
Happy
I'll
New
see you-
Year.
see you in
Thanks,
February.
everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Excellent
night.
job, Vanessa. Great job.
And,
Good
you know,
job.
you did a great job. I mean, since I've been here, you've been doing an awesome job, and I know Vanessa will do great too. But you were very good chairman.
Well, thank you very much. But
Good.
Vanessa's the first one that came in under budget. 17 minutes to go. Under me, it's
Right?
always been plus.
Maybe we can start a trend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
seriously.
Well, Anne Marie's gonna be our timekeeper, so between the two of us, we're gonna we'll set up times for the sections so we can kind of keep ourselves in some parameters.
Yes, that is true. Anne Marie is very strict with the time, which is good. She's very like, I'm afraid of, so it works. She's like, this is the minutes, it's good.
Unless there's a discussion about Negri, then Anne Marie will.
Yes, yeah.
Good
She'll go
point,
on
Jim.
and on.
That's true. That's true.
So when we're talking about Negri, someone else has to be the timekeeper.